guys, long time no post. Um, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I had all these intentions that I was going to close my yarn shop, get everything moved out by the end of May. I would probably take June off and like rest and recover and heal. And then by July, I would be back to creating, art and knitting and sewing and sharing all that content over here as kind of my like catch all for all the things that I make and do. None of that happened, unsurprisingly. I was trying to kind of force myself to heal on a timeline. And when I say heal, I don't mean just from the loss of the yarn shop and processing that things didn't work out the way I hoped they would. There's really, I learned kind of through my journaling, it's part of a bigger issue that I had gone from one very toxic job that had me borderline alcoholic to another job, traditional job, that I thought was going to be the answer to all my problems, and it would give me better mental health, better work-life balance, better family life, all of that, only for COVID to hit and all of that blow up in my face. So then the yarn shop started as a way to try to reclaim some of that. But I found myself just month after month after month stressing about making enough sales to pay rent, stressing about making enough knitting projects to show people to sell patterns and kits, stressing about giving up family time every weekend because I needed to be open so that I could make money on the weekends, which is when I made the most of my money, so that I was still not really seeing my family. Like it was a lot bigger of an issue than I initially thought it was. So about mid-July, I had this whole epiphany that my healing season was going to be more like when farmers leave their soils fallow for the season. If you're not familiar with like farming or gardening, I actually do it in my backyard garden. I have several raised beds, and about once one bed each year gets left empty because I want to make sure that I give that soil time to rest. I want to make sure that I put in some green manure, which is like I will plant clover leaf, or sometimes just let the weeds go rampant and then till them under and let them decompose and kind of feed the soil and rest and recharge it so that the following year I don't need to use as much compost or as much fertilizer for when I go back to plant it. And I had this whole like realization that my like 1 month timeline was not enough, and that it may not even be 6 months, might not be enough for what I have gone through and how it affected me. A year could possibly not be enough. Thankfully, a couple months in, we're like, what, maybe 4 months in now, with it being October, I'm finally starting to feel a little bit more like myself. Hence why I am here doing a video. Because I want to show all you lovely people what I have actually been working on within this last month now that I've started feeling a little bit more like myself. I have not really picked up knitting until about a month ago. So I don't really have much to share right now. I do have a sweater that I am almost done with. I just have probably like 5 or 6 rows left to do in the neckline. And then I have to like kind of sew everything down and then it'll be done. So maybe that'll be done for the next video. But I have done some fun art things that I initially never thought I would get around to doing. I, throughout this whole process of journaling, had this realization that I kind of want to test the waters a little bit more on this being a traditional artist kind of thing. I consider myself a textile artist because I do spin and weave and sew and knit. I can do my own patterns. I can make up my own sewing patterns and whatnot too. But I tend to just go with the easy route of just making stuff from patterns that other people have made because it's less brain power. I haven't had the the bandwidth to even design any knitwear, which is always what I loved doing. But something about making like a painting or a drawing and then trying to enter it in for a show or putting it on display somewhere or trying to market and sell it is incredibly scary. I made this list when I was turning 40 last year that one of my goals for my 40th birthday year was that I wanted to sell a piece of art. And I wrote it down because it was this big, adventurous, like felt like this like pie in the sky goal for me. And then I didn't do anything with it because it was so scary. And I didn't have any confidence that anyone would even buy anything that I wanted to sell in the first place. So this year, on my 41st birthday, as I'm reflecting on, okay, what did I actually do this last year? What do I want to do this coming year? I kind of like stepped back and started thinking through, okay, how can I fix this that I feel a little bit more confident? How can I stop feeling so much anxiety over sharing things that I make in the realm of wanting to promote myself for selling art, not just like showing off what I do just for fun, because I'm perfectly fine at that. But it's when I start asking to be paid for something, what is it about that that I can build towards? What am I missing like in between? And one of those things that came to mind was my lack of confidence. I just genuinely don't feel like I have confidence in what I am doing. So then I was like, okay, how do I get that confidence? Well, I could just like fake it, but I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at faking things. There's a local art show that happens every September, and it's very, very small. It's like literally just people in our little town that submit pieces to this art show. It's like a $10 entry fee, which is really cheap considering I've seen others that are a lot more. It's judged, so there's a potential that you could win an award, but for the most part, like you could just enter just to show off, hey, I'm an artist, I'm from this town, and this is what I make. Like kind of exposure in some ways. I had finished this Blue Jay painting that I had been working on in some gouache. I have there's a window right in front of my desk here, which is why you're probably seeing these reflections on my glasses. Um, and I get to see birds out my window all the time when I'm sitting here working. I actually put up bird feeders so that I can attract them in. And I get blue jays and I get cardinals and starlings and grackles, like all kinds of just backyard birds. Like I live in an urban area. I'm not getting orioles or anything like that. But I was inspired to do this blue jay based on seeing the blue jays in my backyard. And I had just finished it. And I was like, okay, do I submit this to the show or not? And I went around and around and around thinking about whether I really wanted what I thought I wanted. And then I had all these fears about, well, I'm pretty well known in this community because of my shop. So are people going to come in and look at this and see that I did it and then be judgy about it? Like, am I actually good enough that people are going to look at this and say, oh, wow, that's amazing? Or are they going to look at it and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe Candace did that and submitted it? Again, I have like no confidence, right? But I decided ultimately that I'm going to submit it. It was $10. Like, fine. I didn't expect that I was going to win anything. I just wanted to like rip that band aid off and get over the idea of putting myself out there as like a first starting baby step. Just rip the band-aid off, just submit it and see what happens. And I did it. And your girl got second place in the painting division for this little blue jay. I'm going to take it out of the glass here because the reflection makes it hard to see. But I was over the moon the entire weekend. My husband and I went off to Louisville for like an anniversary trip right after the show happened. And the entire time I was like, we need to go here and I want to go do this because I'm an award winning artist now. And like very sarcastic and not like I'm not at all serious that I'm doing this. Like it's not like I think that I'm some, you know, artist that belongs in the Met or something like that or any other like fancy art institute. But it was the confidence boost that I needed, right? So this is my award-winning Blue Jay. I did it in gouache and I did a whole bunch of like little itty bitty, it's kind of hard to see with this camera. Little itty bitty brushstrokes to kind of create that texture of the feathers. And I put on the little, like when you submit to an art show, there's, has the person's name, the category on, here, the card on mine had category of the entry and then whether like the sale price or if it was not for sale. Some of the others had um the artist name, the painting name, the category, and the price, but mine just had the three. So I had put NFS for not for sale on mine because my initial thought was, well, I'm really proud of this and I don't necessarily want to like give it up yet. And then I was also kind of thinking like, okay, so if I did happen to win something, I don't want to sell it because it's my very first piece that like made me feel confident about being an artist, right? But I still had people, even though it said not for sale on it, still had people asking me about buying it, which was such a huge boost to my confidence, right? Like, not only did I win this ribbon, second place, but I had people that were looking at it and wanting to buy it still, even though it said not for sale. And I had people I was volunteering to run the show, and people were asking me about it and said, oh my gosh, I thought that was colored pencil. I thought that was this medium. Someone told me they thought it was a photograph, which I don't totally understand. But like, hey, if you think that it was that good, then I did something right, right? So that was really, really flipping exciting. And then after that happened, I started another painting and I'm not done with it yet. But it's a mourning dove. It's kind of hard to capture. And it's still in progress. I still have more layers to go on because I want to create that same feathery texture and effect. But it's coming along. So I've started that and now I'm kind of thinking I'm just gonna do a whole series of the backyard birds that I see. I've started trying to like make a note and catalog the birds, and if I can capture them in enough time, I get my camera out and I go take pictures of them because I have like a long telephoto lens so I can get like really good photos of them. And so that's kind of becoming like my goal of maybe developing a series and actually having I guess, what's called a body of work, which I'm still learning all of the nuances and what the stuff like that even means. I tried to submit my Blue Jay for another art show that was statewide here in Ohio and thought, okay, well, if I got second place for this, maybe I'll submit it to this one and who knows what'll happen. And the art show was specifically geared towards nature and birds that are in Ohio because the area is a big birding community. Um, I didn't get in and I was actually kind of disappointed. I didn't expect that I would be. I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to submit this because if it was good enough for my local one, maybe it'll be good enough for this. And I didn't really like ultimately expect that I would get in. But by Sunday night before the notice was supposed to come through, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna get in this. I'm gonna get to go buy a cute outfit and go to the gallery opening or the show opening rather. Like I'm gonna be a real artist. And then I got the rejection and kind of felt a little disheartened and a little my confidence was shaken just a little bit. Like, well, maybe I'm not actually that good. But then logic came into play. And I realized that it could be because this is just a small, it's a 4x4 picture, right? It's nothing huge. Um, Maybe just submitting that one piece, they might have let me in if I had more, if I had like three birds to have like a collection. Um, Maybe they were going with a different route on this particular show and they had more of a cohesive palette with some other artists. There were 194 entries and only 38 were accepted. So there was a lot to pick from. So I'm not like, I'm trying not to take that personally. And I think I'm doing like a really good job of that because normally getting a rejection would feel a little bit like the end of the world. Because that's just how my emotions are initially. Like I always have this initial gut punch of, oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm never going to get into anything ever again. And I actually have some logic at play right now with this that, okay, I didn't get into this one, and this is a rite of passage for creative types all over. A friend of mine is an author, and she talked about how she actually made like a sticker chart of every rejection she got on her novel and made it a game. And so I'm just kind of like looking at it that way, and it's kind of helpful. In the meantime, too, so I've got the mourning dove that I'm working on, and then I have other birds that I'm looking at starting. And I don't know if they're all going to be 4x4. There is some weirdness that I'm feeling about doing the small art because I feel like I see so many art pieces that are much larger. People are doing these giant art pieces and they're great. I don't like painting that big. I don't like drawing that big. It's intimidating. And I don't know if that's something that I need to get over or if it's okay to just be a small piece artist. Part of my logic in my head when I think about doing the smaller pieces is that smaller pieces cost less and then more people are willing to buy your original art because it costs less. But also, like, I don't have giant walls to display. I don't like my house is a 100-year-old house, over 100 years. I don't have tall, great rooms with big walls that I can put this ginormous painting on as a centerpiece. And not everyone has that. So I feel like I'm probably okay doing the small art that I want to do, but I'm battling like this should I go bigger because that is what I feel like I should be doing versus what I want to be doing, which is a whole other thing in itself because I don't want to get stuck into that doing things because I should do it because other people want me to do it. And I definitely want to keep this more of like I'm doing it because it's what fills me and serves me best. So, so in the meantime, through all of this as well, at the mid of September, I started an oil painting class. I had gone all the way down to Columbus and drove all the way to Columbus because there's nothing in my area for that to try to learn how to do oil painting. I had tried playing at home and I felt like trying to learn this on my own was a little bit of a struggle because I was worried I wasn't doing things right. I was worried that I wasn't getting my um, lean to fat ratios right on thinning the paint versus thickening it. I was worried that I wasn't blending things correctly. Um, Maybe there were some tips on like color mixing or the right colors to use. Maybe I was like using the wrong color. I feel like I do really well learning on my own by experimenting, but I just wanted to have that extra pair of eyes from another oil painter to kind of guide me. I don't know that that's actually what I ended up getting out of this class. I feel like it was still very much me just figuring things out. I feel like I paid for open studio time for 5 weeks, which is fine. It gave me a dedicated once a week place that I could haul all my stuff in and set up and work. But I have, let's see here. So this, I actually pushed myself to go bigger. I had taken a painting or a picture at a local garden of this water lily that was kind of like chilling in this concrete basin of water. So this is still in progress. Like I'm nowhere near done with it. But I worked on this for the first 2 weeks of class. So the first week I just kind of like blocked in some base colors. And then the second week I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that area. In my reference photo that I took, there was actually like a bush or something right behind it. And I didn't quite capture that when I was working on adding this in. So then I just took like a mop brush, like a really soft, almost like a like makeup brush, and I blurred it and just kind of like went back and forth to kind of smudge everything. And now it looks like water, which I don't hate. It's not what I was going for, but it looks like water and I may just leave it like that. Um, I was trying to figure out how to do the texture of the concrete, and there's like some moss that's growing in here, and then this is all supposed to be moss. And I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I capture that? Like, which brush do I use? How do I use that brush to get that? How do I layer? Do I, to get those different colors and whatnot? And I actually ended up deep diving on YouTube through old Bob Ross videos, trying to figure out, okay, like what would Bob do? Like, I know his painting style is not my painting style. It's not the look that I am trying to capture. But there had to be something in there that I could kind of glean from it, right? Like you can always learn something from some situation or something. And so I kind of used some of the techniques I saw him use on like some of the trees and whatnot and did that for my moss, which actually turned out a lot better than I thought it would. There's definitely stuff I still need to clean up on this. Like the flower in itself needs another layer or two. There's little yellow, like the stamens and whatnot coming out that I need to paint in. There's some reflection on the water from the base of the water lily that I need to darken so it shows up a little bit more. But I only worked on this for 2 sessions. They were like 2.5 hour sessions. So I mean, that's not bad for one of my first forays into oil painting for my first start. After that painting, I started another one. Um, and this one is still definitely a very much work in progress, but it's getting there. I'm really happy with my flowers. Um, So this is a zinnia, and then there was this green spider chilling on it. And the spider is definitely a work in progress. So I spent the first 2 weeks working on, let's see here, the first week I did the greenery and I blocked in the colors on my flower. And then the second week, I came in and I mixed up a better color for my flower because I didn't have, I think I used alizarin crimson, some ultramarine blue, and white because I was trying to capture that like pinky hue of the flower. But it wasn't right. It was too dull. It wasn't bright enough. There was just something off about it. So I went and bought a quinacridone magenta and mixed that up with a little bit of cadmium red to kind of warm it back up away from purple. And then added my white to kind of get the different variations. And so far, it's looking It's looking like a flower. And then okay, so last night, or not last night, this is Friday. So this last Wednesday was my last class. So I had finished these two petals because I was running out of time and I finished those. And then I started adding in just the first base layer on the spider body and then these little disc florets on the zinnia. So they're just one tone, like very bland. They're not very defined as well as I want them to be because it was just the first layer. And my goal is over the next week, I am going to go in on this and start adding in the different depths of color because those little, like the little yellow florets have a lighter yellow in them and then they have a little bit more of a darker yellow at the very center from the shading. And then my spider, I realized when I came home, I loaded up Photoshop and I was using the color picker on the reference photo to kind of figure out where in the color wheel that I actually needed to be. And the coloring in the spider is way more yellow than what I mixed up. It's definitely skews more of a yellow hue than the green I made. So I need to go in and fix that. But then as I was looking at the little arms of the spider, they are a little bit more orange and pink because they're slightly translucent and you're getting some of that pink color reflecting up from the petals. So I'm gonna have to play with that and try to figure that out this week as well. And then I'm not totally sold on this. I'm not totally sold on that's just like the concrete, like because it's taken top down. I may go in with this darker green hue that I have in these corners and just fill them out in there so it just looks like it's like a zinnia on a bed of some various greenery. Um, but I'm not totally sure yet. It's still a work in progress and I'm still figuring it out. I do think I am in love with oil painting though. I've tried doing my acrylics and I kind of hate how quickly they dry. And I love that I can blend these and layer and I don't know. There's something very zen and relaxing once I get into it and I'm not stressing constantly about oh, I need this blue color, but I mixed it up 10 minutes ago and it's already dry. Like I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about spritzing the palette with water to keep things from drying out. I don't have to worry about adding a fluid to blend it better. Like I can just use, I'm just using Gamsol and I have a solvent-free medium that I started trying to play with. But I'm also going to start adding in my walnut oil for that whole fat over lean thing that I'm learning. So we'll see. Like, I don't know. I'm worried that these might crack because I still don't totally know what I'm doing. And someone told me the other day that does oil painting professionally and actually is in a gallery and sells their paintings that she mixes her medium in with her paint. She doesn't like dip her brush in and then go into the paint and mix it. That way everything's consistent so that you don't have one section of that color that dries slower. Sorry, dropping my pen. That dries slower than the other. Um, she doesn't have to worry about it cracking in one section and not the other. Like it just made a whole lot of sense. And I was kind of like, why have I not been told this in my oil painting class? So just gonna experiment, I guess, and keep playing. And then I'm also trying to scope out what I'm gonna paint next because this is like so close to being done at this point, and I want to keep experimenting and learning. So it's like, what do I do? So if you have a reference photo suggestion, like drop me a note because I just want to play and experiment. Honestly, for real, if you have like cool flower or something in your garden, send me a picture and I'll try to like paint it. Like I think that would be super fun. Anyway, um I've been rambling now for like a half an hour. So if you stuck around this long, you're amazing. But yeah, so that's what I've got going on. And I think today, I think this afternoon, I'm going to try to work on this Morning Dove some more so I can get him off the drawing board. And I might just call it a day after that. The nice thing about not having to create on a timeline like I did with the shop is that I'm not forced to be a machine and constantly produce things, which is kind of amazing. It's very freeing. So, have a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great summer that I was not here. Um, yeah. See you guys all later.